The unexpected arrival. A desperate mother, a lost man, and a baby that would change everything. Sometimes, love is born in the most unexpected moment. Get ready for this beautiful story. Leave a comment below to let us know where you are watching from and be a part of this special moment. It was a Monday morning when it all began at the elegant Grandview Hotel. The first rays of sun pierced through the large lobby windows, creating golden reflections on the polished marble. The movement was still discreet, with only a few employees beginning their morning shifts. Maria Sanchez, just 25 years old, pushed her cleaning cart through the silent corridors of the 8th floor. Her brown hair was pulled back in a simple bun, and her impeccable uniform couldn't hide the tiredness in her eyes. Another sleepless night, another day of struggle. But Maria was carrying a secret in the lower compartment of her cleaning cart. Among clean towels, her 8-month-old son, Gabriel, was sleeping soundly. Every few steps, she would stop to check if he was still quiet, whispering loving words. "Shh, my love. Just a few more hours," she murmured, adjusting the towels that hid him. Upon reaching the door of the presidential suite, room 802, Maria knocked gently. It was always like this. 3 soft knocks, a pause, then announcing her presence. "Housekeeping!" Silence. She waited a few seconds before using her master key. The suite revealed itself to be stunning. A panoramic view of the city, Italian designer furniture, and modern works of art adorning the walls. Maria had cleaned this room several times, but was still impressed by so much luxury. "Hello, is anyone here?" she called cautiously, leaving the cart near the entrance. Getting no response, she began her work. Her movements were precise and efficient, the result of 2 years of working at the hotel. She collected used towels, tidied up the room, always attentive to every detail. That's when Gabriel woke up. The soft cry made Maria run desperately to the cart. "No, no, no, please, darling," she sighed, picking him up with infinite gentleness. She rocked him softly against her chest, humming a lullaby her own mother used to sing. "Sleep, sleep, my boy. Mommy is here." Robert Thompson had spent another sleepless night. At 35, this tall, well-dressed man carried in his eyes the weight of something that kept him from sleeping peacefully. When he left the room and walked into the living area, his messy hair and red eyes revealed his exhaustion. He suddenly stopped when he saw Maria with the baby in her arms. "What?" he murmured, more confused than annoyed. Maria turned around, terror stamped on her pale face. Gabriel was still crying softly in her arms. I can explain, sir," she stammered, her voice trembling. "You brought a child to work?" Robert asked, but there was something in his tone that didn't sound like an accusation. "Please, sir, I had nowhere to leave him." The words came out in a rush, desperate. "The babysitter canceled at the last minute, and I couldn't miss work. It's just for today. I promise that." Robert approached slowly, and Maria noticed something strange in his expression. It wasn't anger or disapproval. Was it curiosity? Melancholy? Can I see him?" Robert asked, surprising himself with his own request. Maria hesitated. This man was a complete stranger, a rich guest who could report her and destroy her life with a simple call to management. But something in his voice reassured her. With infinite care, she held Gabriel out. What happened next would change everything. Robert held the baby with surprising gentleness, as if it were something natural and instinctive. Gabriel stopped crying almost instantly, looking curiously at the unknown face. Then something extraordinary happened. The baby smiled and reached out a tiny hand to touch Robert's face. Tears began to form in the businessman's eyes. "Hi, little one," he whispered, his voice choked. Maria watched, intrigued and touched. Robert held Gabriel with sure, natural movements, as if he knew exactly what to do. The baby laughed, completely at ease in the stranger's arms. "You're perfect. Absolutely perfect," Robert murmured, more to himself than to anyone else. "Do you have children?" Maria dared to ask. Seeing the tears in his eyes, Robert looked at her, and Maria saw a deep pain in those brown eyes. "No, I never had the opportunity." He reluctantly returned Gabriel, as if every second was precious. "What's his name?" "Gabriel. Gabriel Sanchez." "Gabriel," Robert repeated the name softly, savoring each syllable. "A strong name." What came next surprised Maria even more. Instead of threatening to report her, Robert made an unexpected request. "Could you not tell anyone he was here?" Maria blinked in confusion. "That's what I was going to ask you, sir." Robert smiled for the first time since she entered the room. "Do you work in other rooms today?" "Yes, sir. I have 6 more suites to clean." "And he stays in the cart the whole time?" Maria lowered her eyes, embarrassed. "Usually he sleeps. He's a very calm baby, I swear. This has never happened before." "Can I ask a question? Why don't you have anyone to take care of him?" The question touched an open wound. Maria hugged Gabriel tightly and whispered, It's complicated, sir." Robert realized he had crossed a line. "You don't need to explain. He stopped as if he wanted to say something important but changed his mind. "Finish your work, and thank you." "Thank you for what?" "For letting me meet him." Maria finished cleaning the suite in silence, but felt Robert's presence even when he disappeared into the bedroom. There was something about that man that moved her, a deep sadness she recognized in herself. When she put Gabriel back in the cart, she whispered, "What a strange man, my son. But strange in a good way." Gabriel babbled as if he agreed. After Maria left, Robert stood leaning against the wall, listening to the footsteps fade down the hallway, wiped the tears from his face, and picked up the phone. "Hi, it's Robert. Cancel all my meetings this morning." After a pause, he continued, "No, I'm not sick. I need some time." He hung up and went to the window, watching the city's movement. The name echoed in his mind. Gabriel. Meanwhile, in the hallway, Maria continued her work, when Clara Reed, another maid, intercepted her with curiosity in her eyes. "Maria, you took a long time in 801 today." "Normal. It's a big suite," Maria replied, trying to sound casual. And that guest? What's he like?" "What do you mean?" "Well, he's been here for a week, and no one has really talked to him. They say he's very reserved. Some employees think he's running away from something." Maria forced a smile. "I just cleaned the room, Clara. I didn't talk to him." "Okay, but be careful. Rich and mysterious men usually have dangerous secrets." Clara's words echoed in Maria's mind as she continued pushing her cart down the corridors. Gabriel was sleeping peacefully, oblivious to the whirlwind of feelings that the unexpected encounter had awakened in 2 wounded souls. Neither of them knew that that Tuesday morning would mark the beginning of something that would change their lives forever. We hope this story is captivating you. What do you think is driving Robert's sadness? And how will he and Maria get to know each other better? Tell us what you would do in Maria's shoes in the comments below. A mother's promise, Robert couldn't concentrate on anything for the rest of the morning. Sitting in the suite's leather armchair, he stared at the spot where Maria had held Gabriel just a few hours earlier. The sensation of the tiny fingers touching his face was still vivid in his memory. It was almost 2 in the afternoon when he made a decision. He picked up the internal hotel phone. "Front desk, good afternoon. How can I help you, Mr. Thompson?" "I need to speak with an employee, a maid named Maria." There was a pause on the other end of the line. "May I ask the reason, sir?" Robert hesitated. How could he explain? She forgot something in my room. I understand. I'll check. Maria Sanchez works the morning shift, so she's probably already gone. Can I ask another maid to get what she forgot? No. The answer came out more firmly than Robert intended. I need to talk to her specifically. When does she come back tomorrow? At 7 in the morning, sir. Robert hung up, frustrated. Tomorrow seemed like an eternity. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, Maria walked through the narrow streets of her neighborhood with Gabriel in her arms. The contrast was stark, from the luxurious hotel suites to the simple houses and bumpy streets where she lived. She lived in a small one-bedroom apartment on the second floor of an old building. As she climbed the stairs, she met her neighbor, Mrs. Alice, a 70-year-old lady who occasionally looked after Gabriel. "Hi, my dear." "Hi, Mrs. Alice. How was work today?" Maria forced a smile. "Normal, Mrs. Alice. Thank you for offering to look after Gabriel this morning. The babysitter canceled at the last minute." "Don't mention it, dear. But you seem worried. Did something happen?" Maria shook her head. But Mrs. Alice had known that girl for 2 years. There was something different in her eyes. "Be careful, Maria. You're a hard-working and honest young woman. But the world out there is sometimes not fair to people like us." Inside her apartment, Maria placed Gabriel in the makeshift crib she had set up in the living room. The baby babbled happily, playing with a colorful rattle she had bought on sale. "You liked that man today, didn't you?" she whispered to her son. "I saw how you smiled at him." Gabriel laughed as if he understood, and Maria's heart tightened. In his 8 months of life, her son had rarely interacted with male figures. His father? Well, his father was a subject she preferred not to revisit. The next morning, Maria arrived at the hotel 15 minutes early. She had slept poorly, dreaming of brown eyes and gentle hands holding her baby. Gabriel was particularly agitated, as if he also felt his mother's tension. "Calm down, my love. You'll be quiet today, okay?" she murmured as she settled him into the cart. Clara intercepted her in the employee locker room. "Maria, did you hear the gossip?" "What gossip?" "The guest in 801 asked for you yesterday afternoon, specifically for you." Maria's blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" "Patricia from the front desk told me. He called, saying you had forgotten something in his room. But that's strange, isn't it? Did you forget something there?" "No, not that I remember." Clara leaned in, lowering her voice. "Maria, this man is very strange. No one really knows what he does. He always pays in cash. He doesn't receive visitors. And now he's asking for you. Be careful." Maria's stomach churned. Had Robert changed his mind? Maybe he now wanted to report her for bringing Gabriel. With her heart racing, she headed to the 8th floor. Upon reaching the door of Suite 801, her hands trembled slightly. She knocked on the door with less firmness than usual. "Housekeeping. Come in." Robert's voice came immediately, as if he had been waiting on the other side of the door. Maria entered, pushing the cart. Robert was standing in the living room, dressed in a gray dress shirt and dark pants. He seemed to have slept better than the day before, but there was an anxiety in his eyes. "Good morning," he said, and Maria noticed how his voice sounded different, softer, almost hesitant. "Good morning, sir. I heard I forgot something here yesterday." Robert approached the cart. "Actually, I lied." Maria's heart raced. "What?" "I wanted to see him again. See Gabriel." The words came out of Robert with an honesty that surprised him. He had rehearsed several excuses, several ways to justify that strange request. But in Maria's presence, only the truth seemed appropriate. Maria stared at him, trying to decipher his intentions. "Why?" "I can't really explain. Yesterday when I held him." Robert stopped, running a hand through his hair. It's been a long time since I felt a connection with anyone. Gabriel chose that moment to let out a small cry from the cart. Maria quickly bent down to pick him up, but Robert held out his hands. "May I?" Maria hesitated for only a second before handing over the baby once more. Gabriel calmed down instantly in Robert's arms, looking at him with infinite curiosity. "You're a champ," Robert whispered, and Gabriel laughed. That delightful baby laugh that made both adults' hearts tighten. "He likes you," Maria observed, still suspicious but clearly touched by the scene. "And I like him." Robert looked at Maria. "Can I ask you a personal question?" Maria tensed. "Depends on the question." "His father, where is he?" Maria's face immediately closed. "There is no father in our story. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. He abandoned us when he found out about the pregnancy." The words came out bitter, loaded with a pain that Maria rarely allowed to surface. "He said he wasn't ready, that we were too young, that he had plans." Robert realized he had touched an open wound. "Maria, I'm so sorry. That's why I work, hiding Gabriel. I don't have family here. I don't have money for a good daycare. I do what I can." Gabriel babbled in Robert's arms, oblivious to the adult's heavy conversation. Robert rocked him gently, and Maria saw how natural he seemed in that role. "Have you ever taken care of children before?" she asked. Robert was silent for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was filled with emotion. "Once." Before Maria could ask more, footsteps approached in the hallway, voices of employees. Maria hurried to get Gabriel back. "I have to work," she said, putting the baby in the cart. "Maria?" Robert called her when she had already started organizing her cleaning materials. "Yes? Tomorrow? Could you bring him again?" The question was so vulnerable, so full of hope, that Maria felt something stir in her chest. "I bring Gabriel every day, sir. I have no choice." "Robert? How?" "My name is Robert, not sir." Maria nodded slowly. "Robert." He smiled, and Maria realized how that smile completely transformed his face. For a moment, she forgot that she was in the middle of a luxury hotel, wearing a maid's uniform, with a baby hidden in her cleaning cart. For a moment, they were just two people, connected by something inexplicable. "See you tomorrow then," Robert said. "See you tomorrow." When Maria left the suite, Robert stood in the same place for several minutes, feeling something he hadn't felt in years: hope. But in the hallway, Clara was waiting, strategically positioned near the service elevator. 45 minutes, she muttered to herself, timing how long Maria had spent in the suite. 45 minutes to clean one room. She smiled maliciously. She finally had something concrete to report to Mr. Smith. The trap was closing, and Maria had no idea. This is a pivotal moment in the story. What will Clara do with this information? How will Maria and Robert's relationship develop? Leave your comment below with your thoughts and predictions. A glimmer of hope. The next morning, Maria noticed that something had changed at the hotel. The looks from her colleagues seemed more inquisitive. Conversations stopped when she passed by, and Clara watched her with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Maria, dear," Clara approached her in the locker room. "People are talking that you're spending too much time on the 8th floor. I'm doing my job, Clara. Of course you are, but 50 minutes in a suite, even a big one, is a long time." Maria felt her blood run cold. Clara had timed her. "The presidential suites require more care. You know that." "I do, yes. But I also know that rich guests sometimes offer extra opportunities for pretty employees." The insinuation was clear and offensive. Maria turned to face Clara. "I don't know what you're insinuating, but I don't like your tone." "Relax, Maria. I'm just giving you some friendly advice. Be careful not to get involved in complicated situations. Maria left the locker room with her heart racing. Gabriel was sleeping peacefully in the cart, oblivious to the tensions accumulating around them. When she arrived at Suite 802, she found Robert pacing nervously in the living room. He looked like he hadn't slept well. "Good morning," Maria said, but she immediately noticed that something was wrong. "Maria, we need to talk." She stopped the cart right at the door. "What happened?" "Last night I got a call. An acquaintance of mine heard my name on the hotel's guest list and commented on it to other people. They're speculating about why I've been here for so long." Maria's stomach churned. "And what does that mean?" "It means that soon more people are going to start asking questions. Let's say they find out about Gabriel, about our daily meetings. It's going to be bad for you." Maria lowered her eyes. "No, Maria. It's going to be bad for you. I can handle gossip. You could lose your job." Gabriel chose that moment to wake up, making his usual morning noises. Maria picked him up automatically, but Robert held out his arms. "May I?" As always, Gabriel calmed down in Robert's arms. But this time, Maria noticed something different in Robert's expression, a deep sadness mixed with determination. "Robert, what are you thinking?" He walked to the window, rocking Gabriel gently. "I'm thinking of leaving the hotel." The words hit Maria like a punch. She hadn't realized how much she had gotten used to those morning meetings, to seeing Gabriel happy in Robert's arms, to having someone to really talk to. "When?" "Tonight, maybe, or tomorrow morning." Maria approached, fighting against the sense of loss growing in her chest. "Gabriel will miss you." Robert looked at her. "And you?" The question hung in the air. Maria found herself unable to answer because the answer scared her. Yes, she would miss him, much more than she should. "Why do you care so much about us?" she asked instead of answering. Robert stopped rocking Gabriel and turned to her completely. "Because you two gave me back something I thought I had lost forever." "What?" "The ability to feel like I can make a difference in someone's life. The ability to feel," he hesitated, "to feel that maybe I deserve a second chance to be happy." Maria felt tears well up in her eyes. She finally understood the pain in those brown eyes, the way he held Gabriel with such reverence. "You weren't to blame for what happened to Peter," she said softly. "I was responsible. Accidents happen, Robert. Children. I promised to protect him." Gabriel began to cry, scared by the altered tone. Robert immediately composed himself. "Sorry, little one. Sorry." He held out his arms, and Maria handed over the baby without hesitation. Gabriel calmed down instantly in Robert's arms, who rocked him with gentle movements. "You're amazing with him," Maria observed. "He reminds me that I can still be useful to someone." Maria watched him rocking her son, seeing how safe Gabriel felt there. A strange sensation was growing in her chest, a mixture of gratitude, tenderness, and something deeper she couldn't yet name. "Robert?" "Yes?" "Don't leave yet. Please." He looked at her, surprised by the vulnerability in her voice. "Why?" "Why?" Maria struggled with the words. "Because I also feel that maybe I deserve a second chance to be happy." The moment was interrupted by knocks on the door. Not the soft knocks of a maid, but firm and impatient knocks. "Damn it," Maria muttered, quickly taking Gabriel from Robert's arms. The bedroom. She ran into the bedroom again, but this time Robert followed her. "No," he whispered. "I'm not going to hide you anymore." "Robert, my job. Trust me." The knocking became more insistent. Robert walked to the door with firm steps. When he opened it, he found not only Richard Smith, the hotel manager, but also Clara, with a triumphant smile on her lips. "Mr. Thompson," Richard said, I have received information that there are inappropriate activities taking place in your suite. I will need to inspect the premises." Robert did not move from the door. "By what authority?" "As the manager of this hotel, I have the right to—" "Actually, you don't." Robert interrupted, his voice taking on a tone Maria had never heard. Authoritative and confident. "As a paying guest, I have a right to privacy. Unless you have a judicial warrant or evidence of criminal activity, you cannot enter without my permission." Richard was disconcerted. He clearly wasn't expecting resistance. "Mr. Thompson, we are trying to protect both you and our employees." "From what exactly?" That's when Clara decided to intervene. "From inappropriate involvement with employees who bring babies to work." The silence that followed was tense. Robert looked directly at Clara, then at Richard. "I see. Well, in that case, I think you need to know who I really am." Maria from the bedroom held her breath. What was Robert doing? "My name is Robert Thompson, and I am the CEO of Thompson Holdings, a company that, coincidentally, owns 18% of the shares in this hotel chain." Richard and Clara's expressions changed drastically. "Now," Robert continued, "let's talk about human resources policies and how this hotel treats employees in difficult situations." The silence in the hallway was deafening. Richard had visibly paled, while Clara seemed to have lost all the confidence she had shown seconds earlier. "Mr. Thompson," Richard stammered, "I didn't know you were—" "I was what?" Robert interrupted, crossing his arms. "One of the partial owners of this chain? Someone who has an active voice in corporate policies?" From the bedroom, Maria heard everything, her heart pounding. Gabriel was sleeping in her arms, oblivious to the drama unfolding. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. Robert wasn't just a rich man. He was practically everyone's boss there. "Sir, there was a misunderstanding," Richard tried to explain. The employee has a name. Maria Sanchez, and you will treat her with the respect she deserves." Clara finally found her voice, but her arrogance had turned to desperation. "Mr. Thompson, I was just trying to protect the hotel's interests. A maid bringing babies to work is against the rules." "And what exactly is the hotel's policy for employees with small children?" Robert asked, his voice sharp. Richard opened and closed his mouth several times. "Well, we don't have a specific policy for— You don't have a maternity support policy? No corporate daycare? No nursery assistants?" Robert shook his head in disapproval. "That will change immediately." Maria heard footsteps approaching the bedroom door. It was Robert. "Maria, you can come out. Please." With Gabriel in her arms, she emerged from the bedroom. Richard and Clara stared at her with expressions of shock. Richard's from embarrassment. Clara's from poorly disguised anger. "Maria," Robert said softly, "I'd like you to meet Mr. Richard Smith, the manager of this hotel. Mr. Smith, this is Maria Sanchez, one of the most dedicated employees you have." Richard stepped forward, clearly uncomfortable. "Ms. Sanchez, I would like to apologize for any misunderstanding." "It wasn't a misunderstanding," Robert interrupted. "It was discrimination. A single, hard-working mother being harassed for trying to balance motherhood with work." Robert turned to Clara, who was trying to shrink against the wall. "And you, Clara? You were specifically cruel and invasive, timing a colleague, spreading malicious insinuations." "I was just trying to—" Clara began. "You were trying to harm a colleague out of jealousy or personal malice." Robert didn't let her finish. "And that will also have consequences." Gabriel chose that moment to wake up and, seeing Robert, reached out his little arms to him with a radiant smile. "Mama," the baby babbled, his first attempt at a word. Robert melted instantly, holding out his arms. Maria handed Gabriel over, and the baby laughed happily, playing with Robert's tie. The scene was so natural, so full of love, that even Richard was moved. "Mr. Thompson," Richard said cautiously, "may I ask, what exactly is your relationship with Ms. Sanchez?" Robert looked at Maria, then at Gabriel in his arms. "Maria is special to me. She and Gabriel are very important." Maria's heart raced. The way Robert spoke, looking directly into her eyes. "Important how?" Clara couldn't hold back. Robert turned to her with an icy expression. "Important enough that I am considering making significant changes in my life, including where I live, how I work, and who I build a future with." His words hit Maria like a bolt of lightning. He was talking about the future. With them? "Robert," she whispered. He approached, Gabriel still in his arms. "Maria, can I talk to you? Privately?" Richard hurried out, dragging Clara with him. "Of course, Mr. Thompson. Ms. Sanchez, consider the rest of the day as paid leave. Actually," he stopped, "consider the rest of the week as paid leave while we revise our policies." When they were finally alone, Robert walked to the sofa and sat down, placing Gabriel on his lap so the baby could play with his fingers. "Maria, please sit down." She sat down next to him, still processing everything that had happened. "Do you really own part of this hotel?" she asked. 15% of the chain's shares. I inherited them when my father died 5 years ago. I was never actively involved in the management because I always had my own businesses, but..." He smiled without humor. "It seems I'm going to have to start paying more attention." Gabriel babbled happily, pulling at Robert's fingers. "Why didn't you tell me?" Maria asked. "Because I didn't want it to change the way you saw me. We already had enough social differences between us." Maria lowered her eyes. "And now that everyone knows who you are." Robert stopped playing with Gabrielle and turned to her completely. "Now I want to stop hiding. Stop running away. I want to try to build something real." "With who?" "With you." The declaration hung in the air. Maria's heart was beating so fast she was sure Robert could hear it. "Robert, you don't really know me. We've only known each other for a week." "I know enough." He held her hand. "I know a courageous woman who is fighting alone to raise her son. I know someone who works honestly, who didn't judge me for my mistakes, who gave me a chance to redeem myself." Gabriel looked from one to the other, as if he felt the intensity of the moment. "I know a kind man who treats my son as if he were his own flesh and blood," Maria said softly, "who listens to me without judging, who carries deep pain, but can still be generous." "Maria, yes, I'm in love with both of you." The words came out simple, honest, and direct. Maria felt tears form in her eyes. "How can you be so sure so quickly?" "Because for the first time in 3 years, I wake up every day with a desire to live. Because Gabriel gave me back the confidence that I can take care of someone without hurting them. Because when I look at you, I see not just a beautiful woman, but a partner. Someone with whom I want to share not only the good times, but also the difficulties." Gabriel began to get restless, signaling that he was hungry. Maria held out her arms, but Robert surprised her. "Can I give him his bottle?" Maria blinked in surprise. "You know how to do that?" "Peter taught me. Before the accident." Maria watched him get the bottle from the diaper bag she always carried in the cart. Robert held Gabriel with one hand and the bottle with the other, and the baby immediately began to suck eagerly. "He trusts you completely," Maria observed. "And you? Do you trust me?" Maria watched him feeding her son with so much care, so much tenderness. "Yes," she whispered, "I trust you. Enough to let me be a part of your lives? For real?" Maria felt a tear run down her face. Robert, are you sure? I come with baggage. A baby, few resources, a complicated past. Maria, he interrupted gently. Do you think I care about any of that? We should care. We come from very different worlds. We don't. We're two people who were hurt, who learned to survive alone, and who now have the chance not to be alone ever again. Gabriel finished his bottle, and Robert placed him against his shoulder to burp him, making small, circular movements on the baby's back. The gesture was so natural that Maria's heart ached. What exactly are you proposing? She asked. I'm proposing that we leave this hotel together, that I rent a big apartment where you can stay while we decide what we want to do. That Gabriel has his own room, toys, everything a child deserves. As charity? Maria asked tensely. As family? Robert corrected her. Maria, I want Gabriel to call me Dad. I want to teach him how to walk, talk, and ride a bike. I want to wake up in the middle of the night when he's sick. I want to argue with you about how to raise him. I want to worry when he starts dating. Maria laughed through her tears. He's 8 months old, Robert. And I want to be there for every month to come. Robert leaned in closer. Maria, I love you. I love you, and I love Gabriel. I want to build a family with you. Gabriel burped loudly, making them both laugh. I think he approves, Maria said, wiping away her tears. And you? Do you approve? Maria looked at Robert, then at Gabriel, who was falling asleep in his arms, then back at Robert. I love you too, she whispered. Robert smiled, a smile that completely transformed his face. Really? Really? But I'm scared. Scared of what? That I'll wake up and discover it's too good to be true. Robert held her hand with his free hand, Gabriel sleeping peacefully against his chest. Then we'll wake up together every day to make sure it's real. Maria leaned in, and for the first time, their lips met in a soft kiss, full of promises. Gabriel murmured something in his sleep, a little smile on his face, as if even in his dreams he knew he finally had a complete family. When they separated, Robert rested his forehead on hers. Ready to start our new life? Maria looked around the luxurious suite, then at the man who had transformed her existence in just 1 week. Ready? This is a beautiful turning point in their story. What do you think will happen when they leave the hotel? And how will they navigate their new life together? Tell us your thoughts in the comments below.